As recently as last week, the leader of Oldham Council, AMANDA CHADDERTON, claimed that the job of the council was to empty bins and cut grass. And with an election looming and her position, as well as other Labour Party politicians' positions now at risk, instead of focusing on cutting grass and emptying bins, the leader of Oldham Council has gone and found £1 million to invest into a private business. Invest is the wrong word. To give away to a private business.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011 he was already leader of the council. In 2015, exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.
A very, very good evening. It is Sunday, the 19th of March 2023. For those of you who are new to this, my name is Miah and I run these transmissions, we call them, most Sunday evenings, discussing, debating, exposing all things Oldham Council and the dodginess, I think, to do with it. The council, that is. When I first started looking at Frank Rothwell to start with, actually, when I first started looking at Frank Rothwell, I found nothing other than a man to admire, if I'm honest with you. He reminded me, well, he was the living and breathing personification of Oldham in many ways. One of those old men I would bump into when I'd hold my father's hand as a small child walking up and down Tommyfield Market. That's the sort of persona I got. I saw his achievements, his rowing across the Atlantic, his climbing of Kilimanjaro, his going and appearing on TV, and he personified the town and everything that was good about the town. And I didn't begrudge he'd done well, like any of you. Why should I? It's not in my nature to begrudge someone who's done well. And I left it there. I thought nothing else of it, and I left it there. And then, in the lead up to the ousting of Arood Shah last year, my views and opinions on this man were completely transformed, and this was before he bought Oldham Athletic, or the family bought Oldham Athletic. My views and opinions on this man were completely transformed as he launched a political leaflet in Chadderton South. Bear in mind, Arood Shah at that point had been exposed for a criminal underworld associations, including hanging off the arm of an Oldham cop killer's getaway driver from Saddleworth, by the way, the young police officer, where Frank Rothwell is from, or lives now. And the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children, and scandal after scandal in this town. Political scandal after scandal, a council in crisis, which is why so many of you engage in this transmission, and so many of you have gone out and voted to oust Labour Party politicians for the last 3 or 4 years. And what Frank Rothwell did I'm still trying to understand. He put out a leaflet wanting people to go out and vote for Arooj Shah. And that leaflet was hand-delivered by Labour Party activists who were also delivering a smear leaflet against me at the same time. Your fat cap Frank tried desperately to keep Arooj Shah in power. And to those of you who watch me, who've been in touch, oh, leave Frank alone, he's done good for the Latics. How dare you? How dare you? If £1 million had been given to a mosque in the lead up to the elections, you'd be angry, and I would also be angry because I'm consistent with this. So don't you dare start off with, oh, leave it alone, it's time we had some of the money. No, this is taxpayers' money, and it needs to be accounted for in the same way as every other grant, loan, whatever it is, that Oldham Council have been handing out. If it had been given to a Hindu temple, you'd be outraged. If it had been given to a mosque, you'd be outraged. And you have been outraged. In the lead up to the election, when Glodic Baths was sold to associates of Arooj Shah, you were outraged. So why are you not outraged now? Is it because you're benefiting? Or something you're linked to? Is that what has become of you? Is that what has become of us? And I'm not blaming Frank Rothwell in any of this, by the way. This is a decision made by Oldham Council to give £1 million to Oldham Athletic Football Club to fix the grass, make it into some hybrid grass, claiming that the rugby club can now move in. And isn't it great that the rugby club can go back to the centre of Oldham? How short are some of your memories? How foolish are you? Do you remember when Jim McMahon and his associates tried to move Oldham Athletic to some back end of Failsworth? You can say that, Mark. I cannot possibly say that, but I'm struggling. I'm struggling to work out where this £1 million has come from, where this scheme has come from, and why it's announced now so close to an election. And I would be asking the very same questions if it was a mosque, if it was a temple, if it was a church, if it was a community group in Glodic, Westwood, or anywhere else. By now, I think most of you, all of you, even those who do not agree with me, have got to accept I am consistent on these matters. Let's start with the way we start, which is a whole host of documents, newspaper articles, and we'll go through the sequence because there's more here than meets the eye. There's more here than meets the eye. A very good evening to all of you. And these are transmissions coming up to the election, which means we're very, very busy. Also, for those of you who are new to this, please do subscribe to the channel. There's a subscribe on your screen somewhere. Just click on it. It's completely free and you'll be automatically updated as to when the next transmissions are. We are just weeks away from the elections. And unfortunately, the opposition in this town, particularly the independent opposition in this town, do not have the means to engage with a wide spectrum of people in the way Amanda Chadderton and the I Love Oldham page does. This, for many of you, is the only platform through which, well, there's any resistance to the tyranny and the despots that control this town. And I agree with you, Gary. I agree with you. And we'll go into this, Denise. We'll go into this. He didn't stand down as a candidate, Denise. But something went on. So, this is the Oldham Council page, latest news. And the latest news is pinned with this, rather than the how to spot the signs of child sex exploitation, which was published on Saturday the 18th of March. Apparently it's Child Sexual Exploitation Awareness Day, and Oldham Council believe for some reason that they can do what they now do, as though they're somehow experts in this when they've been involved neck deep in covering it up. But here we have, under business news, so you can see, it's not me saying it, £1 million investment in new pitch boosts future of sport in Oldham, and the tab on Oldham Council's webpage is business news. Here they all are. And let's just methodically work our way through this. Published on Thursday. And you can see a photograph of Amanda Chadderton, Arood Shah, and Dirty Harry Caffrell, the chief executive, the backdoor chief executive of Oldham Council, with Frank Rothwell and the hierarchy of Oldham Athletic on the grass there. And the rugby club, sorry. So, Council, Latics and Oldham Rugby League Football Club together at announcement of £1 million pitch investment. So it's clear they're investing in the pitch. They're investing in the pitch. A new high specification pitch at Boundary Park Stadium is to receive a £1 million investment from Oldham Council. That's from you. So there's no ambiguity. That's from you. And it will see, essentially what it will do, it will see Oldham Athletic Football Club and Oldham Rugby League Club collaborate, both private businesses. Both private businesses. And apparently they'll collaborate to enhance community sport provision for the borough. I can't work out what that means yet. The collaboration and investment, the investment is the £1 million, by the way. I've not found anything about the rugby league or the Latics putting any money into it. The collaboration and investment will help unlock opportunities for wider investment that will improve education, health and employment in the area. And let's get to that. I'll get to that. But it doesn't stack up. It means that larger rugby games can be kept in Oldham, securing the future of rugby in the town. All right. So what it means, or one element of what this means, is the rugby club can play out of Oldham Athletic. Yeah, you can share the ground. Share the ground. It also means participation in sports and community provision will be increased. A greater range of sports activities can be provided on the site, and travel to other areas can be reduced. Did you read that last bit? They're claiming some form of green credentials. Travel to other areas can be reduced. Just what effing planet are these people on? travel to other areas can be reduced. Come on, Latics fans or rugby league fans or any football fans or, any fans in this sort of sport. Last I looked, you travel home and away. You play home and away. Haven't Latics just played away? How on earth is travel being reduced? What sort of green credential nonsense are they trying to claim? They might as well get Greta Thunberg rocked up here. What is this absolute nonsense about travel being reduced? Oldham Council's cabinet is set to agree. So they've got a cabinet meeting on Monday. Oldham Council's cabinet is set to agree the funding for the new high specification pitch at its meeting on Monday the 20th of March. So the meeting after the last proper council meeting. So these people are playing fast and loose with democracy. Fast and loose with democracy. The cabinet is meant to report back to the full council meeting. That's how democracy works, not operate outside. So they've scheduled this meeting after the last full council meeting of the year, where they've suddenly found £1 million. Councillor Amanda Chadderton, leader of Oldham Council, said Oldham can boast truly outstanding sporting achievements, with some amazing successes locally, regionally, nationally and internationally. We're well known for netballing and rugby successes, as well as winter sports, cycling, cricket and much more. Well, how much of those sports will benefit from you spending £1 million on the playing surface for Latics and the rugby? Will cricket benefit? Will it bugger? Will netball benefit? Will it bugger? What winter sports will benefit? How about cycling? Never mind the much more. What's the much more? There is no cash return on the investment. There is no cash return on the investment that I can see. Many years ago, when Manchester City bought the Etihad Stadium. Many years ago, when Manchester United bought the Etihad, when Manchester City bought the Etihad Stadium from the City Council, there was a clause written into it by the council that a percentage of revenue from the European matches will be divvied up and go back into community sports, go straight back to the council to invest in community sports. That is what a council looking for a return on their investment would have done here. Would have said, we want a percentage of match day income. Remember, £1 million. Rothwell bought the entire club for what? And the surrounding land and the rest of it for what? 12 million, 10 million, 11 million, 12 million? So the council is gifting the best part of £1 million, or 10%, £1 million, give or take, the best part of 10%. My garden needs new grass. It will stop me travelling to the park. I don't know what to say to that, David. I definitely found it entertaining. Following the recent purchase of Latics by the Rothwell family, we're also hoping for more success on the football pitch. I'm really sorry. Why is the leader of Oldham Council hoping for more success on the football pitch? And what's that got to do with £1 million of our money? But these achievements don't happen on their own. So Amanda Chadderton, they start on the playing fields up and down the country. That's why it's vital to support grassroots sport. She's claiming that the £1 million of our money given to a private business is supporting grassroots sport. Someone go and look up the definition of the word grassroots. It sure as hell isn't. Grassroots is not a professional football club that a few years ago was playing in the Premier League. Grassroots sport is not a private business that someone's bought for £12 million. By investing in young people. How on earth are you investing in young people by giving Oldham Athletic £1 million for the grass? How is that an investment in young people? And creating better clubs and community facilities in place. How are you creating better clubs and community facilities? How is Oldham Athletic a better community facility? What sort of community facility is it? It's not. They're taking you for fools. We can sow the seeds of a more successful and sustainable sporting future. Successful and sustainable sporting future. We can sow the seeds. Amanda Chadderton on record saying the council empties your bins and cuts your grass. They bought a shopping centre. Now they've become sporting entrepreneurs. After buying a shopping centre during a global pandemic, they've just handed over the best part of 10% of what it cost to buy that football club. I'm sorry, Frank Rothwell should have done his due diligence. If that pitch isn't up to scratch, then he should have factored that in. If a private rugby league club wants to play there, that's a matter between Rothwell and them. It's not a matter where you and I get involved in with £1 million of our money. And apparently, giving this £1 million will help our people, teams and clubs reach the highest potential, possible potential. Which clubs and teams did you consult with, Amanda Chadderton, before you came up with this scheme to hand over £1 million? Which grassroots clubs did you consult with? There's hundreds of clubs across this town. Netball clubs, football clubs, cricket clubs, all run at a grassroots level, run by volunteers. Which one of these were consulted to see what the best use of £1 million of our money was? The board of Oldham Athletic AFC said there's no such thing as a board of Oldham Athletic AFC. Who said it? Why is there no one named? I think we know why. Since the takeover of the football club last summer, significant time has been invested in developing a wonderful relationship with Oldham Council. A wonderful relationship. An Oldham Rugby League club. And this is a hugely exciting step forward in the strengthening of that bond. Well, if you gave me £1 million, I'm sure it'd be an exciting step forward in the strengthening of our bond. If someone gave me £1 million, I'm sure our bond would be strengthened. As a club, we want to be a focal point in ensuring our town thrives in a sporting capacity and that the main benefits of sports are felt throughout the local community, whether it be through participation or the enjoyment of following a successful team. Like ourselves, Oldham Rugby League Football Club have a proud history and we are thrilled to have this opportunity to work closely with them in pursuit of a bright future for Oldham. Mate, whoever's speaking here, great. But why do you need £1 million of our money? Why can't you develop this partnership between you and Oldham Rugby League Football Club yourself? What's it got to do with us? It is our aim to see Boundary Park Stadium become the centrepiece for sporting activity in the town and beyond, achieving our goal of becoming a football club that can say it truly works for the benefit of its community. Then there's some stuff from the Rugby League Club. And then some more council gobbledygook, which I think is important. A new higher specification pitch at Boundary Park will unlock wider opportunities, not just for football and rugby, but also more widely with new education, health and job opportunities. There'll be job opportunities. It's straight out the McMahon playbook. I'm surprised they've not put a number to the job opportunities. And in terms of currently, there is a limited number of community pitches across the borough. What's community pitches across the borough got to do with where Oldham Rugby can play? And are you now claiming that Boundary Park is a community pitch? Because it sure as I'll suggest that it's not a community pitch. I can't rock up on a Sunday with a bunch of my mates, put some bibs down and have a kick about. You can't. I can't. The quality of the current pitch needs to be upgraded for use on a significantly increased number of occasions by a range of users. This collaborative proposal also provides enhanced economic and social advantages to retaining these important matches within the borough. This is nonsense, people. The enhanced pitch facilities would also be available for use by Oldham schools and colleges to provide a wider range of community pitch availability. Go and have a look at the secondary schools across the town. They all have their own playing fields. Do you really think, based upon a curriculum in a school, that someone's going to pay for a bus to take kids down to Oldham Athletic to use it for PE and then take them back? No. This is absolute nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. And my friend Bertie, who keeps phoning me, ranting about stuff going on at Oldham Athletic. Sorry, mate. Listen, I spend hours and hours prepping this. Okay? I don't care about Abdullah. I think he was a scumbag and he's right to have gone. Now, whatever Frank is, and I'm sure he's a supporter of Oldham Athletic, I've seen him at the press conferences. He is a supporter of the Latics. It's very clear. But that does not mean that this council should be given £1 million of our public money during a time such as this when it says it has no money. And where the leader has clearly stated that the priority is cleaning bins, emptying bins and cutting grass. It is buzzword bingo, Gary. It is buzzword bingo. So let's have a look at the committee meetings on Monday. So this is the cabinet meet on Monday after the last council meeting. Ibby, I couldn't give a... I don't care. I don't care if this investment is not fit for purpose or grant is not fit for purpose. What I care is that this grant should never have been awarded. I don't care about the football, mate. I've seen all the stuff and how some people are easily manipulated. I don't care. My interest starts and stops at how £1 million of public money is being transferred into this private business. Indeed, mate. £1 million could have been spent to improve the sports pitches that are used as dog toilets across Oldham. What would £1 million have done to the Clayton playing fields, the playing fields in Chadderton, I see, all across the town? What would £1 million have done? And since when did the council suddenly take an interest? I'll tell you since when. Since there was an election coming and Amanda Chadderton's figures are coming back and she's at risk. And a whole host of other councillors are at risk. You white folk are easy. Invest in the football club. There you go. That'll keep them happy. Invest in the football, invest in the rugby, and they won't care that the children were gang raped. Electioneering by emotional blackmail. Yes, Mark. These are the minutes. Declarations of interest. The contact officer is Elizabeth Drogan. And we'll get on to the people who are there. The portfolio holder. So this is being pushed forward by Amanda Chadderton, Abdul Jabbar, who's not only the deputy leader and cabinet member for finance, but something called low carbon. That's your green agenda. Abdul Jabbar, how many times do you and your family get on a plane to go to Bangladesh? Low carbon, my arse. Councillor Elaine Taylor, deputy leader and cabinet member for leisure and culture. The council is very aware of the borough's outstanding sporting achievements with some amazing contributions, blah, blah, blah. And we're now hoping for a turn of fortune following the recent acquisition of Oldham Athletic Football Club. Well, actually, if this is the reason for the decision to promote the elite sporting, look at that, the elite sporting achievements. In the first paragraph, you can see it there. The elite sporting achievements, promoting the elite sporting achievements is not in the remit of a council. It isn't. Now is the time to push for further levelling up here in Oldham through the lens of sport and health and future employment opportunities, for the benefits of Oldham's communities, especially for our successful youth teams. Youth teams in what? Who deserve access to better facilities and in turn enhanced health and well-being and future employment opportunities. This is just nonsense. This is just nonsense written up by someone who has no idea. It was just get some paragraphs down. Quickly get some paragraphs down so we can put this paper in front. As with many sporting activities, grassroots provision and investment in youth provision are paramount. Well, actually, how is £1 million to this, a private football club, grassroots provision? And how is it investment in youth provision? With this in mind, this paper seeks approval to support the provision of a new high specification pitch facilities to unlock wider opportunities for future investment. So they claim that by giving Oldham Athletic £1 million, it will unlock further investment opportunities in community sports pitches, enhanced education provision, more health opportunities, and creation of additional employment opportunities. And Cabinet are asked to approve the retention of rugby league matches for Oldham Rugby League within the borough boundaries. Actually, the retention of rugby league matches for Oldham Rugby League has got nothing to do with the approval or otherwise of the council. Since does the council now run the rugby league club? Does the council now run the rugby league club? Since when was it the council's decision to approve where Oldham Rugby League football clubs, the Roughheads, play their matches? Since when? Grow and enhance higher education provision within the borough to support a new pipeline of complementary health and sporting employment opportunities. What nonsense. Grow and enhance higher education provision by giving Oldham Athletic £1 million for their grass. How is giving Oldham Athletic £1 million for their grass growing and enhancing higher education provision? Have the sixth form been consulted? Have Oldham College been consulted? Have Bluecoat that have a sixth form? I think North Chadderton still have a sixth form. Crompton House have a sixth form. That's what higher education is. Have any of these higher education providers in the town been consulted or partners in this? Well, award a grant. A grant. There you go. It's not an investment. It's a grant. Their words. That means give away. Give away £1 million of capital funding from council capital strategy. So that's give away £1 million of our money to Oldham Athletic Football Club, which is apparently needed to unlock recommendations 1 and 2 above. They're not recommendations, are they, above? 1 and 2 is not a recommendation. Retaining the rugby league matches for Oldham is not a recommendation because it's not in your gift to recommend. Growing and enhancing higher education provision is not in your gift to recommend. But apparently for these two things to happen, Frank Rothwell's Oldham Athletic need £1 million of your money. Delegation to the leader of the council with the chief executive director for place and economic growth and directors of finance and legal services to finalise the grant agreement. So whatever is written down, the conditions, the actual conditions of that £1 million are yet to be agreed, and those agreements are to be handed over to Amanda Chadderton and her mates to decide. It's not even for the cabinet. It's to be delegated. Delegated. Enhancement of community sports pitches is the additional paperwork in this appendix. I had no idea that community sports, that Boundary Park, had ever been described as a community sport pitch. But they used the plural, enhancement of community sport pitches. The new owners and board members confirming the new look, ambition and direction of Oldham Athletic Football Club to be all Oldham and more than football. They are working with other stakeholders, partners, community groups, youth teams and supporters group to put this into action. Well, let's have a list of all of these stakeholders. Come on. Why isn't it on here? What is all Oldham? Who are the other stakeholders, partners, community groups, youth teams and supporters groups? Who are they? How are you going to have more health opportunities creation and additional employment? How is giving Oldham Athletic £1 million for their grass pitch going to improve or create more health opportunities? How? Community pitch provision is limited across the borough. Okay. On what basis have you come to that conclusion, Amanda Chaddерton? Where is your paper? Where is your paper? Where is Oldham Council's paper that did an audit of community pitch provision to come to that conclusion that it is limited across the borough? I'll tell you where. It's in the toilet, isn't it? It's in the toilet. It doesn't exist, does it? It doesn't exist, does it? With a commitment to protect and enhance community green spaces. Has anyone come out and said we want to take over community green space so we don't play sports on it? What on earth is community green space for, if not for children to play on? Apparently, the capacity to enhance community pitch provision needs serious consideration. Oldham Athletic is not, Boundary Park is not a community pitch provision. Apparently, the Rugby League, some matches have been played outside of the borough, which dilutes the opportunities for rugby supporters to attend and watch matches. Well, guess what? It's not in the remit of the council to support rugby supporters or any sport supporters from watching their games locally. I'm a season ticket holder at Anfield. I go to Liverpool. Mark Ince here, I think he's a season ticket holder at Manchester City. What are you going to do next? Tell us where we can go and watch our football games or our rugby games. Just who do you people think you are? And suddenly they care about Avro and the issues it's caused Avro. No. If that was true, the houses around Avro in Hollywood, if that was true, then they would close Avro down. Have they done an audit to see what issues the Rugby League club causes Avro compared to what the other uses of Avro causes, and whether or not taking the rugby away from that in any way will improve the lives of the people who live there? No. Have they consulted with them? No. So, the council is aware, or has been made aware, that there is an agreement in principle between the football club and the rugby club. Wow. So the football club and the rugby club, Oldham Athletic and the Ruffians, have already agreed in principle to play at Boundary Park from 24 season onwards. They've already agreed that, independent of the council. This isn't reading well, people. this isn't reading well. So the council is already aware that there's a principle between both clubs. Well, if there's a principle, if there is an agreement in principle between both clubs, surely both clubs will have discussed and debated how the pitch needs to be uplifted for the rugby to be also played with the football on the same pitch. The quality of the current pitch would need to be upgraded in order for it to be suitable for use on a significant increased number of occasions. 100 plus a year. Look at that. 100 plus a year. Do you see that? In this paper it says 100 plus a year. So they're saying they will use it on 100 plus a year by a range of users, including the football club, the rugby club, ladies football team, local schools, colleges, and representatives. So, okay, hold on. 100 times a year. There's 19 matches. What, 20 matches? For the football club? 10 matches, 15 matches for the rugby club? Plus the rest of it. So in-house, they'll be using it for 70, 80 matches. Of that 100 times, in-house will be 70, 80. So the rest of you, local schools, colleges, and local leagues for representative matches might get 20 times a year. 10, 20 times a year. Have they asked any local schools? I'd wager they haven't. Have they asked either of the colleges or any of the sixth forms? I'd wager they haven't. Have they asked any of the local leagues for representative matches? I'd wager they haven't. This is just a scam involving Oldham Council. And it's for votes. I am in no doubt whatsoever this is for votes. The council are aware of the pressure Oldham Rugby League Football Club from several discussions with the owner and board members. The key word there is owner of a private business. The council is aware that the football club already hosts higher education training facilities. It's a private business within the first floor of the Joe Royal stand, with up to 150 higher education students on site every week. Now, I struggle to believe that. I struggle to believe that there's 150 higher education students on site every week. Where are they coming from? Oh, the club owners have been approached by a sports education provider, SEP. Who are SEP? With the aim of attracting new cohorts of students for sports science and analytics, sports media and specialist health courses such as physiotherapy. Would SEP be a private business? Whilst the club are exploring the details behind this enhanced offer, the first phase of the project would use the second floor of the Joe Royal stand for additional classrooms. And then OAFC and ORLFC are sources of work experience opportunities for students looking at careers. Oh, bullshit. This is just made up bullshit. Whilst the club are exploring the details behind this enhanced offer. So they don't even know what this enhanced offer looks like or how it will tangibly play out in terms of outputs or outcomes. The enhanced pitch facilities would not only support both the rugby collaboration, private collaboration, and educational enhancements, private enhancements, but would also be available for use by Oldham schools and colleges to provide a wider range of community pitch availability. Has any school or college asked for this? No, they haven't, have they, Amanda Chadderton? Has any school or college asked for this? The council has also been advised that beyond the first phase of the SEP proposals referred to above, the SEP proposals that haven't been fully, investigated and padded out yet, so the draft sort of proposals, this is written on the back of a flat cap. It's written on the back of this proposal, this scheme, whatever it is. Forget the back of a fag packet. It's the back of a flat cap. They want to now create a sports campus. They now want to create a sports campus. Where's the money going to come from for this sports campus? Let's not get ahead of ourselves, yeah? So whilst they're going about this sports campus and this nonsense about improved educational facilities, they've come up with 3 options. To approve the capital grant funding, don't proceed with the finance agreements. This would protect council capital funds. So some of you are saying, oh, they've got to spend the money. No, they don't have to spend the money. It's our money. It's not government grant money. It's our money. This would protect council capital fund. It's there, option 2. Option 3, to consider the development of a business case for a new multi-million-pound sports facility. They can't even get the Colosseum right after 15 or 20 years. Prince's Gate, Hotel Future, the Old Town Hall, Spindles, the town shopping centre, the Tommy Field Market. Which one have they got over the line? Would anything anywhere near it on time and on budget and delivering what it promised it would? Which one? They don't recommend option 3, which is actually, develop a business case and work it out and actually work out how much it'll really cost. They don't recommend option 3, which is work out how much it'll really cost, because of the significant impact on time, resource and future funding investment decisions needed to secure the same outcomes as the grant award financial agreement. That is an outright lie. They are claiming the £1 million will deliver the same outcomes as developing a business case for a new multi-million-pound sports facility. These people are taking the piss out of every one of you. You're so easily bribed. If you fall for this, you lot are so easily bribed and you deserve it. You deserve the leaders you elect. If you're so easily bribed by this. They reckon so option 1, clearly, give them the £1 million is the preferred option. And the consultation that has took place has been between the football club and the rugby club. Consultation engagement has taken place between the football club and Oldham College with regards to the higher education programme. Oh, so they've consulted with the higher education, and there is no conflict or competition with the proposals. Oldham College welcomes the opportunity for their students to benefit from both the new facilities and the wider HE offer within the borough. What about the sixth form? What about all of the others? No, nothing. And of course, when did the consultation with Oldham College take place? In what format? No. The consultation between, if it's my money, if it's your money, the consultation should take place by the council. It should be led by the council. How about you and me consult on what we'd like to do and go to the council and say, yeah, we've consulted, can we have £1 million? Public health and leisure services within the council have been consulted. Okay. So they're clearly admitting there, inferred admittance, that no community clubs, no communities, no young people, none of that. No consultation in reference to all of the people that they claim they're going to be benefiting. And of course, the college is a key strategic partner of the council, so it will play a ball. Immediately opposite Oldham College is Oldham Community Leisure, the sports centre. State of the art. Yeah, immediately opposite. And they've not consulted Oldham Community Leisure. It does sound like a plan from Dad's army. So it's a £1 million grant. You can see the word grant again. And there's a bloke called Mark Stenson who's done the risk assessments. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I'm not blaming the rugby club. I'm not blaming Oldham Athletic. I'm not even blaming Frank Rothwell. Although all of those have done well out of this if this deal goes through. But £1 million of public money in the lead up to an election should not be handed over to a private business this way. I'd object if it was a mosque. I'd object if it was a community centre handed over in Glodick or in Werneth or in Westwood. And I object here. In securing a particular cohort of voters, a resource (public baths) was sold in the face of opposition appealing to a different cohort to turn out and vote. This looks like a similar strategy. I agree with you, Paul. It looks like a similar strategy. So where is that similar strategy being played out? I'll tell you where. The neighbouring wards of Oldham Athletic and the rugby sort of communities. Waterhead, St James, the new Chadderton North Ward, Royton North, Royton South. Those are the key strategic battlefields in this town, or some of the key strategic battlefields in this town, where Labour are at risk. And these are the wards in which they hope they will gain vote, in my opinion. Unless I'm reading this wrong. And this has been a long time coming. If you're finding value in what I do, you take value from it, please consider taking out a subscription to it's basically a newsletter. It's £1 a month. £3 a month, £5 a month, £10 a month, depending what you can afford, but the cheapest option is £1 a month. There's just under 300 of you who subscribe to it for free and don't pay a penny. I don't have the resources of the council. So far this evening, thank you. Thank you, David. I'm a supporter of both clubs and can assure you it hasn't turned my head. I don't think that play is going to work. Thank you. And thank you, Louise. People who follow this work are not taken in at all. Okay, I'm going to go and get myself a drink. I've got a lot more to get through. 2 people have bought me a coffee this evening. Thank you very much to both of you. That's fine, yeah. So I'm £10 up. I'll be back with a drink in my hands and I will go through some background context to Frank Rothwell. And that's not to criticise him, it's to try and understand what's going on. And then there's some more pieces of work I'd like to do, possibly. But we've been going for an hour now. And I think you all can see what this £1 million is. And I think it was that, David. I'll put it up again. It was designed to turn heads. If you find value in this work, if you're one of the 220 of you who are watching now, there's a buy me a coffee link at the top. I'll stick it back up. Here it is. The silence from the opposition parties, the mainstream opposition parties, the Lib Dems and the Conservatives, I think is very telling. I think the silence is motivated in part through self-preservation. My analysis, Gary, would be that they think speaking out against this will cost them votes because they will be speaking out against Oldham Athletic getting money. I don't think the opposition parties are any longer, if they were ever, in tune with public sentiment in this town. The mainstream opposition parties, that is. Not in the slightest. Thank you, Paul. Paul Taylor's just bought me some samosas, so he's bought me 10 samosas, so that's £20. Thank you, Paul. I've now got £30, which means my electricity for the evening has been paid for. Thank you very, very much. I've now broken even for the night. Okay, let's bring this up. So you can see it's made news. Oldham Council is investing. So it's not investing in a high specification playing surface. Investing means an investment is when you get a return for your money. There's no return for the money here. It's a grant. Yeah, it's a grant just before the election. So they made some reference to some land, the council, in terms of this, sports complex. And I like the idea. If I'm honest with you, I like the idea. It was just an idea, wasn't it? It was just pulled out just to excite us. I lived in Ancoats for a while. I saw what they did to the Etihad Stadium and the land around it and developed, but they've got proper money, haven't they? A proper sports complex. But what we've got here in terms of the land that they've bought is the Boundary Park Stadium, the car park, something called Little Wembley, and surrounding land. I'm not sure what the surrounding land actually is, but that's what Rothwell and his guys bought. Rothwell and his family, but that's him, Frank, old new chairman and owner Frank Rothwell. And I don't in any way criticise his. It's great, isn't it? If you're from a town and you get to own the football club, and I think it's great. Warren, a very good evening to Warren Bates. Warren knows all about Frank Rothwell, being a veteran politician in this town. Oldhamers helping Oldhamers to be proud of Oldham is part of his statement. Oldhamers helping Oldhamers to be proud of Oldham. I wish someone would help me with £1 million. Much has been said over the Oldham Athletic and the council interference in Oldham Athletic. And it goes back to 2010 and the Lancaster Club, which is why Warren would be useful, because he helped and led the campaign that protected the charitable status of the land in around the Lancaster Club and prevented this strange land swap deal that involved Jim McMahon. But this predates Jim McMahon. I pull this out, and just to show my equity in all of this, this goes back to 2010. The start of this goes back to 2010. You can see 17th of March 2010. And my good friend, Mohibuddin, who was at the time councillor, Mr. P, this is his statement in the newspaper at the time. The fact that the land is charitable land does not mean that the land cannot be disposed of, but the council would need to prepare an application for a scheme to be considered for approval by the Charity Commission. The scheme would need to identify land of equal value and appropriate suitability to be used as a replacement area of land. So the council tried doing a land swap deal with the Latics, moving the Latics over there. And of course, where Boundary Park now is, and the land are sort of linked to that, the Little Wembley bit and the car park and all of that. Well, I think your guess is as good as mine as to what would have happened to that land around Chadderton, Boundary Park, back end of Chadderton, linking to Royton. And fast forward to after Moyeb and his team moved on, the council approves purchase of Lancaster site from Oldham Athletic. So Oldham Athletic bought the Lancaster site. Yeah. Even though there was charity covenants on it, and decided, and the council then said, okay, we will do some sort of land swap. Why? No idea. But it involved James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon. Apparently it was a £5.5 million deal with the local council. You can read it here. And this is on the BBC, by the way. So it's not, And it also included £700,000 grant. Complex arrangements. Well, Jim McMahon, Oldham Council leader, said the professional football club is of vital importance to this borough, and we identified ending its decade of uncertainty as a key priority within our first 100 days in office. I'm not sure what the uncertainty was, bearing in mind that this is a football stadium that Oldham Athletic is still in 10 years later. Maybe someone wanted a deal. Maybe someone wanted a deal. The choice is pretty simple. Keep it or lose it. Actually, that was never the choice. James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon, and of course Simon Cormie's name is mentioned here. It was all very dodgy. My understanding is that the police were even involved. And it all fell apart. Fast forward. Abdullah bought it. Wasn't the best bit. And then this guy bought it off Abdullah. Saviour. And this is how I knew Frank Rothwell. I pulled this article out because this is the first time I'd come across him. Oldest contestant on Bear Grylls' survival show, The Island. And then I read how he'd, rode across the Atlantic and stuff like that. And he owned Manchester cabins, which meant nothing to me other than when I drive along Manchester Road where the old Roxy used to be. It's there somewhere. Yeah. That's him. How many of you are aware that Frank Rothwell stood as an independent candidate to give business a voice in the South Chadderton local elections in 2018? I've spoken to councillors involved at the time, or politicians involved at the time. And apparently, the entrepreneur, Frank Rothwell, who'd thrown his cap into the ring, was standing against Arooj Shah. I didn't know this at the time. I didn't follow politics in the town at the time. I wasn't in the town really at the time in 2016. It's not where I worked. So Arooj Shah was standing against him. By voting for me, these are his words, not mine. He said, I'm standing because business don't have vote. By the look of things, the Labour Party is going to control the council. By voting for me, people get away for there to be checks and balances. By voting for Frank Rothwell, people get away for there to be checks and balances. These are his businesses. So those of you ask me which businesses he owns, I said I don't know, but these are the businesses listed in the Oldham Times article from at the time. Manchester Cabins, Bunker Bin, Another Level Car Parks, and holding company Park Cullis Oldham. They have a combined turnover of more than £10 million. Apparently he'd been thinking about standing for 15 years. And Ms. Shah described Mr. Rothwell as a man of dignity. She said, I think this time there will be a different dynamic than in 2016 in St. Mary's, where I believe a lot of misogyny influenced the outcome. Remember, last week I shared with you photographs of Ms. Shah's campaign, current campaign in St. Mary's, where she is photographed exclusively with Asian men repeatedly. So much for fighting misogyny, eh? Story goes, Frank Rothwell was doing very well. Arooj Shah went to visit him, and then Frank Rothwell changed his mind and put his support behind Arooj Shah. Some people claim a deal had been done of some form. I couldn't possibly comment because I wasn't there and I have no idea. I don't believe Frank Rothwell is a dodgy man, by the way. I think he's a shrewd businessman. So I don't think anything. So this is the result. And you can see here Arooj Shah won with 967 votes. Robert Barnes came second with 623. Frank Rothwell came third with 288. So how close he really was, I have no idea. But 288 votes is... if they'd voted for Robert Barnes, and Robert Barnes had a bit more about him at the time, I think the town would have been very different. Because by Arooj Shah getting in, the 3rd of May 2018, she almost immediately, her and Sean Fielding, with the assistance of Jim McMahon, ousted Gene Stretton, created a new leadership team, and we all know what then followed. Once Arooj Shah became leader of the council, she appointed Frank Rothwell. She started to work closely with him, hosting business breakfasts and stuff like that. So Frank Rothwell gained more prominence. More prominence. And he was made this time last year the greatest honour in the town, the Freeman of the Borough. Yeah, it's what Kevin Sinfield tomorrow is getting. Rightfully so, by the way. Some people have told me Kevin is a raving socialist or something, or some form of left wing. I don't care. I lived next door to the man for a while. He was lovely, his wife was lovely, his brother was lovely, his wife was lovely. They were decent people. I only know them as decent people, and what that man has done, he deserves more. I'd knight Kevin Sinfield if I had any say in it. He'd be a knight, he'd be a Sir Kevin Sinfield if I had any say in it. It's the least this town could do. But this time last year, Frank Rothwell became Freeman of the Borough. Huge, huge honour. Actually, it is a huge honour. It's a huge honour. Oh, and at the time, Frank was a member of the Conservatives. Thank you, Warren. Warren always has these tidbits. In terms of owning most of Hollingwood or whatever, the only thing I could find when I typed in Manchester Cabins was this document in Oldham Council's archive dating back to 2012, involving a land swap with Manchester Cabins. You'll have to... I don't know what the land was that Manchester Cabins got or what they swapped in exchange for it, but it goes back to 2012. Something to do with the Hollingwood Park and Ride scheme, and there's a land swap affair. Let me show you something. In the lead up to the election, just before the election, Frank Rothwell paid for these leaflets to go out alongside a leaflet attacking me by Arooj Shah. I've never met Frank Rothwell, and I think by now you can clearly see I have no animosity towards the man. This is what Frank Rothwell put out. Vote for stability. Vote for Arooj. Vote Arooj Shah Thursday, May 2022, alongside a horrific leaflet attacking me. This is the back of the leaflet. About me, Frank Rothwell. Judith, my wife for 52 years, and I have lived in Oldham for 50 years. Manchester Cabins, Bunker Bin. Founder, patrons of Madlaw. Sponsor every entertaining dance troupe in Oldham. Hydrotherapy. You know, his charitable work is to be admired. His charitable work is to be admired. Gives him no right to do this, though. And he should not be getting involved in this after he's become a freeman of the borough. Once you become a freeman of the borough, you're meant to rise above politics in terms of party politics. It's an unwritten rule accepted by people who get to that status. Not Frank Rothwell. He paid for and put out these leaflets. There you go. At the council elections on May the 5th, the voters in Chadderton South have a major responsibility. You are not just deciding on a councillor to represent your ward, you are deciding whether your Labour candidate, Arooj Shah, will remain as the leader of the council and continue to be one of your councillors. Arooj was born and has lived in Oldham all her life. She is very passionate about Oldham and enthusiastic about her role as leader of Oldham Council. And I can confirm she is a good leader. Frank Rothwell is confirming Arooj Shah is a good leader. She is leading a major transformation and revitalisation of Oldham town centre. And she has attracted the world-famous Eton College to open a new sixth form college in the centre of Oldham. There must have been a lot of competition from other northwest towns, but Eton College, I suppose he meant college, chose Oldham. Eton College must have been happy with the prospects for Oldham and Arooj's leadership of Oldham Council. No, not at all. Since Christmas, Arooj has held Meet the Leader events in every ward in the borough. There has also been 2 Meet the Leader events solely for businesses. At the meeting, she offered the opportunity to everyone who attended to raise a question. I am not aware of this happening on such a large scale with previous leaders. We can all see the positive effects the Do Not Trash Oldham campaign is having. Can you all see the positive effects the Do Not Trash Oldham campaign is having? Nearly 2,000 trunk roads, normal roads, streets, drives, lanes, side streets, back alleys and ginnels have been cleaned of rubbish during this short period Arooj has been leader. Businesses need stability at the head of our council. There have been 4 different council leaders in the past 8 years, and if Arooj is not re-elected, there will be 5. Arooj and I believe if the council provides a positive, supportive and stable environment, then businesses will thrive. This in turn generates a positive trickle-down effect which benefits and promotes better life for everyone. I'm sorry, Frank, I disagree with you. I think businesses will run and would have run a mile and continue to run a mile in a town mired in the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of its children. And I think if Arooj has continued to be leader of Oldham Council, businesses wouldn't have come nowhere near because she hangs off the arm of a convicted heroin dealer who was the getaway driver of an Oldham cop killer. My family business employs over 50 people in Chadderton South, but businesses do not have a vote. If business had a vote, I would go against my political leanings and definitely vote for Arooj. I would vote for stability and the person, not the party. Please stay with Arooj. Please vote for stability and the person, not the party. And you can see he signs it off as the Freeman of the Borough of Oldham Council, Oldham Borough, sorry, the Freeman of the Borough of Oldham, and also the Ambassador for Business for Oldham. So I really had given him the title, the role as Ambassador for Business for Oldham. This letter was written, printed, paid for, and it is likely I will have personally posted it through your letterbox. This is the man who was personally posting these letters through the letterbox, and you can see the smear campaign letter against me in his background. This man's name is Latif Chowdhury. Latif Chowdhury is a prominent Pakistani Labour Party activist, particularly in areas such as Latics. I make no allegations. I am simply putting this in front of you and asking you, why was this man doing what he was doing? And I ask you now why it is that Oldham Council have suddenly decided to invest, give away £1 million of your money. Good afternoon, good evening, Dave Arnott. Dave Arnott has joined us. Dave has not been well. He missed the last council meeting because he took ill. Dave, I'm sure you missed the last transmission I did. I passed on my well wishes, and I'm hoping you are having a recovery. You need to look after yourself. I have no animosity, personal animosity to anyone. Not just the Conservatives, but Labour. I would not want to see ill health on anyone. So I know Dave's not been well, and he was, it knocked him. So pleased to see you joining in this evening, Dave. And I am looking forward to your statement in the morning. And I will, of course, amplify your statement in the morning if it is of use. I find this deeply, deeply uncomfortable with what's taking place with Oldham Athletic. If you're finding value, please like, please subscribe, please share. Please consider buying me a coffee. We are now at 10:40. I've got a little bit to get through, and I think I will. Let me just look at the viewing figures. No, everyone's still here. 251 of you viewing. I've got a screen that shows like the trajectory of people signing off and joining in. No, we'll call it quits. We'll call it quits for the evening. Okay. I am going to put out the second part of the Oldham Council meeting one evening this week. I think I've scheduled Thursday evening. It might be earlier if I can, but it's going to definitely be Thursday evening. There'll be a transmission on Tuesday morning. There'll be a transmission also on Wednesday morning is my intention. I've got some leaflets to design for some people tomorrow and get some stuff out of the way. So that's where I'm up to. Thank you very, very much to those of you who continue to support me. Without your help, these transmissions will stop. It doesn't matter that. Never mind. We're nowhere near. We're nowhere near getting me to minimum wage, and we're nowhere near. To the 251 of you who tuned in this evening, if you can and if you're able to, and you don't already, most of you don't already subscribe in any way or support me financially in any way, please consider buying me a coffee. I'll see you all during the week. Take care. Good night.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.